you get that book from Mike Kaplan?
We did, yeah.
Oh, dude.
He was, he was doing the shows and came through.
Ramin Nazer.
And
that's
it
how you
is
say it.
To whomever, in parentheses, Tim.
That's so good.
Mike.
You were on that show when I got that.
I was on.
That was
the
tattoo,
Don't Tell
the tattoo parlor.
in the parlor.
Yeah.
And the tattoo lady.
Yes.
Lydia.
I don't know why you said it like that.
Wait, what about her?
I have no idea. That's what I'm saying. I don't know why I said it like that.
She goes, you should get a tattoo. I'll give you a tattoo sometime. And I was like, I can't do this. I have to leave before I get a tattoo. It's like if it's a don't tell in an ice cream place and the ice cream lady is like, I should give you some ice cream.
Yeah.
Come get some ice cream from us. I'm getting all the ice cream. But if it's a tattoo, I want to be thankful that they shared the venue and supported comedy, but I can't.
You can't get one.
I can't get one.
Why?
I'm a dork, and all of those things. I don't know. Is it the permanent nature of it? Is it the obsessive kind of thing with me, where I would judge it and I would never be happy with it? You got tattoos, Ronnie?
I don't. And I don't know. I probably would make it. Yeah, she did. Here's the thing. She never offered it to me. So
yeah,
she must
I don't
have
think
really enjoyed your set.
Yeah, I don't think it was free either.
Oh.
But
she saw a mark and she thought she would take advantage.
Yeah. There's a guy who will desperately please everyone who has no tattoos.
Yeah.
He's a blank canvas. Blank canvas, weak heart, can't lose. Let's do it. I just noticed that table.
Yeah, that is just a. I mean, I don't know if we can get it on screen. I'm going to take a quick photo of it just in case. So our online. I guess we're recording right now, but anybody who's watching can see exactly Tim's setup. It is just a coffee table on top of a keyboard stand.
It looks not earthquake proof.
You're the first person that has ever noticed it. One person noticed it after the podcast, but everyone else has just thought it was a normal table when we bring it up.
I walked in the room and thought it was a normal table. It is well camouflaged.
I got to be honest. I've seen the keyboard stand and the coffee table separate, but when I first saw it, I was like, "Wow, this is a pretty cool new setup that Tim created."
That is how you fight a bear. So because bears don't know that you are two people joining one guy on like another guy's shoulders.
Is that
or
true?
Joining hands, yeah. And then you look bigger. And I'm just doing this right now. I'm trying to appear bigger for the home audience, so they'll think I'm tough because their bears watch this, right? And so that's you get loud and pretend to be big. Have I ever used it? No, I've never survived a bear attack, but that's what I hear. Open an umbrella if you have it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, we're learning survival tips, courtesy of our guest today on the Skullet podcast. Tim, put your hands together for hilarious comedian Chris Nakis.
Thank you. Great to be here in the Skullet podcast.
Thanks, man. Welcome to Skullet Land.
And I feel like I'm at the right time.
Yeah.
There's formation, and I genuinely said this, and I'll say it here. The hair looks really good, doesn't his like the waves of it? I mean,
100%.
This looks great.
Thank you. It's we've gone through several iterations of awkward phases, and I'm finally using product.
Yeah, maybe that's part of it. Is that you're past an awkward phase? What kind of product are you putting in there?
Well, okay. So I was on the road this weekend with our friend Learn More Jonasi, who he puts product in his hair, right? So he just said, "Why don't you try this?"
He's going the same way as you. His hair's going away. And yours is coming back. If he was here, I'd make more fun of him. I got to stop there until I see him in person. But
well, I discovered, so I started doing it on stage, and then, I don't know, I kept looking at myself in the mirror. I looked more and more like he was my parole officer as I was wearing just my hair down. And then I realized his hair is a lot different than my hair.
Is it?
But it still worked fine. So I thought, you know what? I don't think there's any reason to buy specific products. So I actually have beard cream in my hair right now.
Wait, it's so he uses beard cream on his hair?
No, he uses gel specifically for his coarse hair.
He's from Africa. I think, can we say that? And so you're an abolitionist of sorts, a non-segregationist of more modern sorts. You say, why do the whites and the blacks need different hair product?
Right.
But then you took it a step further, and you're like, why does the bottom front of the head and the top back of the head need separate products?
Exactly. I don't see color.
Yeah.
I don't see texture.
I don't see texture.
And I don't see
volume.
there any difference between head hair and beard hair. There's no differences, okay? Everything else, there's no binary. Everything is completely separate. We can do whatever we want with our bodies and our hairs.
We're all one follicle. You and I and everyone. Can I just go back and touch up the part where I said abolitionist? That probably wasn't the right word. You, John Brown. Who am I thinking of?
John Brown, yeah. John Brown was the guy who started the Civil War.
I could just picture you in Target in the tearing down the middle row between the white people hair product and the black people hair product. And you're like, this shelf must go.
Yeah, exactly.
We should have one.
Uh-huh.
And then, when there's the what's with the branding? I could feel myself going into a bit that I don't have. What's with the branding of men's hair products now? Does it have to be all wilderness? Can't someone just say, hey, you live in the suburbs and you don't want your hair fluffing up? My hair is no product today, but why does it all have to be Sasquatch and butt scratching? Like, why can't we just have, hey, dude, here's your hair stuff? You know what I'm saying, Ronnie?
I know exactly what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I haven't looked at hair products in...
This is new to you.
I mean, I'm assuming this is happening. I have not looked at hair products in over 20 years. Well, maybe 15. I don't know. Whenever I went bald, I said, you know what? No more barbers and no more hair products. And I've just been complete. It's like going into a new car after being in a car that's 20 years old. And I'm just like, wow, I'm still using cassettes. And here we are with Sirius Satellite Radio. By the way, check out my album, Second Funniest Kid in School, on Sirius Satellite Radio.
Ooh.
When
does that happen?
It hasn't happened yet.
Oh.
But it felt like a good time to plug it.
Something that doesn't exist.
But
it's on YouTube. Please check it out.
Get some of that satellite play. Is that the one filmed in New York?
It is. Yeah, it is.
In Astoria. Was it Astoria?
Astoria,
QED.
Queens. Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Thank you.
And go ahead.
Well, I mean,
I was about to compliment you, but we can stop.
Tell me off air, but you actually just recently
better topic, yeah.
recorded a special, and we're gonna go into it, but yeah, man, you're a terrific comic. We wanted to talk a little bit about comedy with you, but please, I feel like the way your hands are situated, you want to say something.
Ronnie's jokes are good, digestible segments.
Oh,
you
yeah.
have very digestible jokes. They
Thank
come
you.
in, you can see the bit. Everyone goes, I know what I just heard. I wasn't expecting that punchline, but I know now that was a joke. And not very many people can deliver that. A lot of people are just loosey-goosey out there. You know what I'm talking about, Tim.
Just loosey-goosey, yeah.
Yeah, and those people need to go.
And those people are not on satellite radio.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And but yeah, man, you just recorded a special. It's coming out. By the time that this comes out, it'll have come out, well, I guess 3 days ago.
Yeah. Perfect.
So please check it out. What's the name of it again?
It's called Gonna Wanna.
Gonna Wanna. Hell yeah, man.
And there's some old bits in there. It took some time to make.
Yeah.
But then there's some bits in there that are thought of that day. And so it still feels fresh and new when I'm watching the edits as we were talking, you watch it. If you edit your own things long enough, you go, this was not wise to make this at all. Who decided that this was a good idea? Who gave you the keys? And then you take a couple days off and you watch it, you go, whoa, who made this? Was this me? This is like out of body. Wow, this was good. This is tight. Creative. Unique. A unique voice, a needed voice in comedy. I'm trying to put together some blurbs. It was fun. It was fun to record and just to complete something.
Yeah.
I think, as you know, probably as a creative type, just everyone's got a good idea. not everyone makes it happen.
True.
Most of my time, I'm just like writing down things and I go, oh, that's a great idea. And then I never do anything with it. So to have a deadline to complete something feels really good. And to collaborate. I would say to collaborate with people.
Yeah, you're working with Mike DiGliamo and Alyssa Weisensee, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
It's been a good process?
Great people. And to be with local artists, local comedy fans, local comedy minds, local comics, and to just bounce ideas is so satisfying. And that does feel like at some point in time, you go through all the feelings of, first of all, you'll feel like, oh, do I even want to bother these people with my project? And then secondly, you'll feel like, do these people even deserve to hear my project? And then eventually you go, man, what a cool collaboration. They gave me ideas that I would not have had. And hopefully I gave them something to be excited about too. But yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, as someone who's not listened to it again and again, I only listened to it one time, and I was very impressed, man.
Thank you.
I've always been a big fan of yours, man. I think the first joke of yours that I was just like that I remember hearing is the Fauci fastball, the Bill or the George W. Bush fastball joke.
Yeah.
And I was happy to hear that.
Yeah, and thank you. And that's like a callback type joke, right? Format. So it doesn't lend itself that easily to the quick consuming reels that people have. So I put it in a 45-minute special that no one's asked me for. But it's hard to watch 45 minutes of comedy. When was the last time you watched a full comedian's special beginning to end?
I watched about 5 minutes of Ron White before I fell asleep the other day.
Yeah, and not knocking Ron White.
No,
right?
I'm a huge fan.
How hard it is to watch that more than 30 seconds of comedy at a time.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I watched, I on a road trip, we watched maybe a bunch of 10-minute sets. Yeah. Recently. Yeah. And those are super digestible. It's 10 minutes, you know? We can do that.
Yeah, I'll pull up someone's old Conan set, and it'll the time bar will be 7.5 minutes, and I'm like, I don't have time for this. Yeah, I can't watch 7 minutes of comedy. What are you guys, crazy? Right. And so to put together 45, I don't know who's going to watch it, but if someone watches it from beginning to end, they will be rewarded. Absolutely. With multiple callbacks. That's what I tried to put in there.
Multiple callbacks, but also, I mean, you also did something interesting. You added bumpers in your in your special.
There are, I think I can give it away, 4 commercials in there. Yeah. And they were, they're all political attack ad style ads. And they were all written by me, but written in my wife's voice to give her a rebuttal. Because I feel myself, this is the first truly honest moment, and I've never said this before. So now you're getting something on the cast.
Let's do it.
I feel myself aging into comedy where you have to talk about being a husband and being a dad. Yeah. And a lot of that does lend itself to what are the frustrations of being a husband and a dad. And then it slowly turns into I'm turning into a caricature of a middle-aged comic who's just like, oh, my wife and the dishes and the dog and rah-da-da. And then I already sound like Ray Romano. And this isn't, I want to be unique, right? I want to do this in a different way. So, okay, if maybe I could talk about whatever the kids talk about, Tinder, I don't know. But I don't have any experience with it, so I can't talk about the cool topics. I do have to talk about what I know, but let's see if we can do it in a different way. So I still give my wife a hard time, of course, in the bits, but I try to put my finger on what don't I like about that. I know it's not accepted as cool, but I'm not going to become cool. So if I'm going to just do dad jokes, what don't I like about it? And I think personally it's that the other person doesn't get a voice in it. Right. And when someone tells a story and and then I said, and then they tell it perfectly. And comics do this. I do this. You're and then that guy said, oh, and then you make the other person sound dumb, and then you're a genius. All you edit into that is your perfect lines. So that's the point. I gave my wife four chances in the special to
and it has they all kind of it escalates, and then finally it's a super rewarding at the very end as well.
Good. Thank you. Yeah. And the other one's I guess three are attack ads, and the fourth one is kind of attack, but it's completely different music, and it's much more like a uplifting message, but still giving me a hard time. So.
Has your wife, who I met, you had us over for dinner? It was it's a very sweet moment. You do live like a like no other comic that I know lives, man.
It's embarrassing.
You have a great place. You got great 2 children. You got a house. You got a yard. I mean, it's like
3-car garage, Ronnie.
I'm sorry, man. I don't want to blow up your spot, but you're doing
it's a 3-car garage.
You're living the dream, you know.
It really is hell. Really. You're trapped in a prison of your own making, and I have a lawn to mow, everything in the house. Like we've been so fortunate to have enough places to buy and sell, and then keep upgrading our living conditions. But we have plenty of money where we don't have to worry about food on the table, but we don't have enough money to like pay someone to take care of all of our things, and. So now it's just more for me to deal with. It's I really want to downsize. I want to live in a shack by the sea, and I want to write my jokes on rough paper. But I live on a cul-de-sac, Ronnie.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's the inner conflict of Chris Nakis.
No one's ever happy. Can't enjoy anything. I walk on sidewalks. There's no traffic. I've started to do this on stage. It was the Millvale Music Festival where no one's, it's in that long bar. Eric does a great job. He's a sweetheart. And the bar is a terrible environment for comedy. And the front, 10 people are very well paying attention, but the rest of the bar is just having a conversation. You can't expect them to pay attention. And I think Eric brought me up and said that your next comic has a great show in Wexford, Pennsylvania. When people say Wexford, even if they've never heard of Wexford, it just... Pittsburgh has done a really good job of branding the snobby neighborhoods. Yeah. Sewickley sounds like Sewickley.
True.
And Upper St. Clair sounds like Upper St. Clair. They are just perfectly named. And so when someone says Wexford, even if you are not from here, oh, this guy. Yeah. And so I just made fun of the audience the whole time about all of my privilege, that I wasn't going to have to look for parking tonight. I know where my parking's going to be. And I think that's the heel turn I'm going to be taking is talking about.
You do say in your website, you say you're antagonistic.
Oh, I used to have that in that. I still have that in the bio.
You do. I did a quick deep dive right before you showed up, and it was antagonistic. I believe you said antagonistic with a Midwest charm.
He mixes his antagonistic sense of humor with a Midwest charm,
which I actually do agree with.
Well, thank you.
You'll do things that are it's almost like you'll push the audience a little bit, or you'll say something that maybe they don't agree with or something, and then you're kind of just sort of smile and you're like, I'm Ray Romano, you know what I mean? And it's sort of you kind of get away with it, you know what I mean?
Sometimes it works great.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes they all hate it. No one jumps on board, and then it's just antagonistic, and this is rude. It just becomes rude. But thank you for reading that and noticing that. And yes, that has been what I think there's it's such a desperate need to please people. And at the same time, you want to be also a genuine artist. You want to look at the comics that you looked up to. Yeah. Like a Carlin or a Pryor, of course, is the names that people say. But I grew up watching Greg Giraldo, or, and those types of people who were smart, but also just berating society. Yeah. But society is in who's in the crowd, and so I always wanted to, Norm Macdonald would always he was slightly antagonistic with the crowd, but he was bringing people into. Those are the people who I'm comparing myself to. No, but those are the goals you're reaching for, right? And so I could see both. I mean, Norm has a sort of eccentricity to him, and I feel like you're a little eccentric as well. Yeah, because I can't properly relate to people, so then turn into the skid. Bro, if this was the Blocks podcast, ding, would come on right now. You don't think you can relate to people? All right, that's a long sip of water right there. In many ways, yes. In many ways, it's my favorite thing is relating to people, and I kind of do it in a maybe if there's tiers to it. Okay, I can do it in. I sat across from a guy yesterday who was from San Diego. Okay, so I've been to San Diego. I like tacos. How are you? What do you feel about tacos in San Diego? That's how I'm like. That's my tier one relating to people.
Yeah.
Is I heard one word from you. I'm going to tell you my life experience that relates to that one word, and hope that you like tacos too. Everyone likes tacos. It's a pretty safe guess. But then, if he does like tacos, now I'm naming taco shops that I've been to in San Diego, and seeing if we can go there. And then somewhere in the middle of like me talking about Hago's organic taco shop, where the guy goes catches the fish, and when he runs out of fish, they're out of tacos that day.
Wow.
Somewhere in the middle of that, I realize I should ask this person a question about like their life and who they are and something that matters to them, and not just connecting on tacos. Maybe not every interaction needs to be that deep. I don't know, Ronnie. This is where it's right around that point where we're like, what if we get to tier 2? I don't have what was the word I used? Not relating to people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said you don't know how to relate to people.
I know how to project my own life experience onto other people and see if it matches. I love to connect though.
Of course, yeah.
Love to hear about someone's life. I love to have empathy. I love it. I go, look at me being a mature adult.
Yeah, it's nice. I love how like you're communicating, you're empathizing, but deep down it's still about
it's all about me.
How good you're doing.
How good of a human I am. Yeah, right. Oh, Flam Dog. Give me the ding over my head now. There is no selfless act.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
And when the bee stings you, it dies, but it wanted to sting you.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. But yeah, sometimes connecting with people is like just about my ability to connect with people and not to actually make them feel seen. But it does help. It does feel good to make people feel seen because I like to feel seen.
Yeah.
I'd comment every conversation I've had with Chris. You feel like he's listening. You know what I mean? That's something I like about Chris. Chris is good at connect, but that's probably why you're good at sales. Is because you're tricky. Because from my perspective, it seems like you know what I mean. You're like genuinely interested in things. But now I know
a thing about
he's
you.
just playing the game.
I don't know a thing about you, Tom. Get that?
I nailed. Yeah, I got it. Did you start comedy in
Boston, Massachusetts?
Boston.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm always like a little mixed up because I know it was like Seattle. Is Seattle a thing?
Portland. Yeah.
Portland. Sorry.
Yeah.
Portland. I know there's Ohio, and then there's Boston.
Yes. Born and raised in Cleveland, the land. Didn't do comedy there. I've always enjoyed doing comedy there. Crowds are great.
Cleveland's
in Cleveland.
nice.
And then moved to Boston, and felt that finally you got to try. And being around enough comedy, Boston's like such a young, vibrant city with so many transplants and things. You can go see comedy a lot, and people are going out a lot. And just watching enough bad open mics was when I said, "Oh, I guess I could go bomb too." And that's how I got started.
And how would you compare like where you are now to where you were then, as far as like what you were talking about, or your style, or I guess the evolution of your stand up?
That's a great question. When I started, I've just now become more sensitive to the fact that I was more adventurous in my like what a format of a joke could be.
Yeah.
Because you're new and you don't know, and the audience hasn't told you what they like to hear from you. And so I was talking about anything. I had a bit where I sang the Burger King commercial for the Tender Crisp Bacon Cheddar Ranch song. I would guess I was getting alty, I think, maybe. And it was a lot of fun. I was doing a lot of like weird singy jokes and strange comparisons. I had one where I tried to you didn't even ask for this, and I'm going to give you my old bits now. This is called Old Bits with Chris. I had one where I went to a bar and I accidentally walked into a women's restroom. This is back in the day when they had men's and women's restrooms. And I accidentally walked into a women's restroom. And then this was also when Pinterest came out. And so I was like, I signed up for Pinterest really quick, and I tried to relate those two things of like, because I didn't realize that Pinterest was social media for women, even though it's not, but it is, and whatever. So again, this is back when you could talk like this, Ronnie. and then I also, what was the third thing? It was like a band maybe that I was into. Oh, it was Maroon 5. So that I like discovered Maroon 5. And so I tried to weave those three things together.
Okay.
Where I set up the premises that I accidentally walked into a women's bathroom. I signed up for Pinterest and I discovered Maroon 5. And then I was like, there was like a slow revelation as to why I was the only man in this place. And never worked. But
I could see all that those pieces. I actually could see that working.
It could. I did like set up, and then I did punch, tag, and tried to weave the three.
Yeah.
There was a lot wrong with it, but it never worked. But I was so much more bold in trying stuff like that, which kind of inspired doing things like putting those negative ads in my special.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to do something different as opposed to, here's what the VFW hall laughed at. So this is who I am. So this is what I'm going to keep doing.
Right.
And I was like, but I'm a creative person.
Yeah.
I'm an artist. You will hear my crazy ideas. So that's what Boston, I think, was to me. There was a free space to try all those things. And the places when you started that would book you, at least me personally, were the alt kind of places, the independent shows. The comedy studio was like the coolest club you could ever want to perform at, and they were all hip and all, and you know, like Eugene Merman would drop in, you're like, oh, look at the genius of him. He's reading a Amazon review, and it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. So there was that inspiration, I think, was part of it too. So that's where I was. I loved the place. Great scene. Fantastic scene.
Do you go back?
Every once in a while. Yeah. I like to say I started a club there, but I didn't. I started it as an open mic, and then I started a monthly showcase. And then when I left, I handed it off to some guys who turned it into a real club.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it's really nice to see like a little bit of my influence still there. I don't feel like I'm completely off, even though if I went there, a kid who started comedy 3 years ago in Boston would have no idea who I am. So,
right.
Yeah. But anyhow, it feels good.
And then you went to, all right. And then was Portland the next move? But also I'm curious now. So you just recorded your special. And do you feel it's like, okay, now you're starting from scratch and now it's time to return to, you know, not that same, you know, Maroon 5, you might want to update it a little bit, but or do you feel like it's now like a blank slate, and are you super nervous about this, or are you going to be super strict, or just a little lenient with yourself as far as new Nakis? New
Nakis, new me, and new material. Yeah, I love the blank slate. Love it, because I am, my biggest weakness in comedy is to take that joke, to use the business lingo, across the goal line of like, I got the premise. I love the premise. I tried it on stage. It worked. I'm done. Right. And like, oh no, that joke has years left of work in it that I'm not willing to do sometimes. And the special is the pressure cooker that forces me to refine that at least more. It's not perfect, but you really have to speed up that improvement of the joke. But then to be free of that labor and just go back to the blank pad is a lot of fun to create and to try new things. The part where it sucks is when you do have here you're doing a long set, and what are you going to do for that long set? A bunch of half-baked ideas or the old stuff that you thought you were free from. And now you go try to retell the old stuff, and you missed 2 key beats because you're just not doing that bit anymore. Any of that stuff. Yeah. You probably felt that in your...
I have felt that, and I've also just kind of done... I'll go back to some old stuff, and I've not been as strict with myself as I maybe would wish that, you know, I was.
Yeah, and I came off that idea real fast of like burning material.
Yeah.
my first one, Swimmingly, which was my pride and joy, has 2,000 views on YouTube. There's a pretty good chance if I'm at the biker, what was it? What's the group called? They were a nice group. It was a David K show. Great people. Anyhow, a bunch of 50 to 70-year-old motorcycle enthusiasts. Odds are good they're not the 2,000 people who have seen my special on YouTube.
Right.
I could probably dip into those jokes and not be rehashing something that is a household name of a joke.
Yeah.
So I've let go of some of that idea. Because like that concept of burning material is true and it's right, but that's if you're Chris Rock.
Right.
So anyhow, yeah, I love that creative restart.
Totally, yeah, man. So anyway, I interrupted you and myself, but also when did you go to Portland from?
From Boston?
Yeah.
We did, I did 5 years in Boston. And it was nice. Here's what I do like about it is I did have the Hideout was the place that we started, and I left that there, and there was a thing I could point to having done. And then Portland, we were there for 5 more years. We were there. I mean, I was in Boston for longer than 5 years, but doing comedy for about that long. And then we were in Portland for about 5 years. And in Portland is where I filmed Swimmingly. And changing cities, you've dealt with this. You're kind of starting from the bottom, but you're starting with more experience and better material and all that stuff. Portland's also a great culture for arts in general. People just want to go support. People don't have jobs, or their jobs are not normal hours, and they're out late at night and they're ready to hang out and watch a show and not pay for it, but pass a tip jar around. I haven't seen a tip jar in a comedy show since I left Portland.
They don't do it in the Rust Belt, I don't think.
I didn't even think about that. It was a lot of tip jars. You'd get you'd get paid $7 in mangled, wadded up cash, like that was flattened out, and then in 2 drink tickets or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there I was, like the dad driving back to the suburbs. And like, I can't have 2 beers. What if instead of 2 well drinks, I give you 2 tickets and you let me have 1 middle shelf drink?
Ooh.
I was always like talking to the bartenders.
Just haggling?
Yeah. Just an embarrassing, but a great city, great scene. And again, cool people that you met there. And so I had Swimmingly that I left there, and now I'm in Pittsburgh. I'm not leaving Pittsburgh, but at least I have another thing.
So tell me, so Swimmingly was especially recorded during the pandemic?
Yeah, mid-pandemic.
In a swimming pool?
In a kiddie pool in my backyard, and we had 4 people there.
Yeah.
And actually, I put out 4 chairs, and one of the people stood to help do like the directing kind of stuff. So when you see the shots, there's an empty chair. It's just ridiculous. I sent it to a friend to say like, hey, what do you think about this? And he's like, you might want to use like a laugh track, because you get the laughter from 4 people, and it's the laughter of 4 people. It's a bomb. It sounds like a horrible bomb. I'm very happy with how it turned out.
Yeah.
It sounds like a 17-minute bomb. And I was like, but what would a laugh track, like a theater of like 500
that
people?
That would be ridiculous,
laughing?
Man.
I might re-release it with a laugh track.
It's like when in both pro wrestling and football, I believe they had just screens in the back of just like fans, and they would pump in the volume, and it was totally dystopian and weird.
Yeah.
And that would be what that would be if you just pumped in laughter. Would be truly terrifying.
When they put those like faces on the back, yeah, and it was just like a bunch of people on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Of just a not.
No.
It was worse than an empty stadium.
Yes.
Because it did feel dystopian.
Yeah.
You feel like this is
Black Mirror.
You're trying to tell me that this is reality, and it's not. It's not good. So yeah, it was filmed in the backyard. It was great. It was a great time, and it did capture that time in life, which I didn't realize I was doing.
Totally.
But I did do.
I like how you're like, I guess it's a little alty, and then you do that, which is just totally like a Maria Bamford style stand-up special.
Yes. So my buddy Jake Silverman, he was in Portland with me, and he helped with that special. And he's like, I think that's what he said, that because in Portland, if the culture of Portland is what you have in your mind, that is not what we just described with me as a guy who lives with a family in the suburbs. And so I was treated great in Portland, but I was not of the brand very easily, right? You found it. I know the beginning to my special.
I just thought he's listening to a different
First 1
podcast.
second, and he's like, "That's
Name
it."
that tune. That's me.
He listens to that every night.
And and so, but Jake goes, "You just did the most alt thing in this town," and I was like, "Oh boy, that's not what I was. This was just a failure of production quality." It was very fun. I would do it again and again. Oh, there it is. Yeah, look at that. Look at that open seat.
Who are these people?
That's my coworker Mark and my coworker Wyatt.
Huh.
And my other coworker Nate. I just took my coworkers who liked comedy.
Yeah.
And 17 minutes 29 seconds. 2,000 views 3 years ago.
Tell me if you don't want to talk about this, but
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
Go ahead. No, please.
well, something that I find interesting about you, and we're, this has been heavy comedy talk, and I think we're just
The
going to keep.
yard is AstroTurf.
Okay, perfect.
Is that what you're going to say, Ron?
No.
It
But
is-
I know that your lovely wife does not actually enjoy comedy.
No.
How does this happen?
I married a church lady, and she is. Well, I'm gonna say I will freely talk about it because I think I'll try to put it in empathetic terms because I'm such a good person. Is that like she didn't grow up with? First of all, she didn't grow up with a lot of like pop culture. She
Yeah.
wasn't like a pop culture person. She doesn't. I think that's a guy-girl thing in general too. Let's just say, but like quoting movies.
Yeah.
Is like a thing you do with the guys, and so like we got together like when we were dating, whatever, and
And you're like, do you want to be my wife? Like, I don't get you, Chris.
And I'm like, yeah, baby, and she's like, I don't know, and then I was like, I think we're gonna need a bigger boat, and she's like, no, and then I was like, Stella, and she's like,
I like it a lot.
yeah, yeah, I did. I'll be back, and all of it. And she's like, "Who are you?" And then I was like, "I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore." And then she was like, "Can we break up?" And I was like, "I'll have what she's having." And
He kissed her on the face. He's like, "It was you, Fredo. I know it was you."
And then something from Finding Nemo, and she's like, Finding Nemo, and I wish I had a quote from Finding Nemo. But okay, now also though, that's what I love about her is that she's not stuck in the world. She's not gonna go to her deathbed and have a movie quote pop into her head as her final thought, whereas I will be over there being like,
You had me at hello.
I'll be.
Show me the money.
Show me the money. The one that we do, it's I guess known as wait till Otis sees us, he loves us. It's from Animal House. That's like a class. It's like it's known, but it's not there. Anyhow, because that's like my dad. That was my dad's era of film that I also could watch and enjoy. And so now that's like. My dad and I will, we'll be with the whole family. We'll be together, and my dad and I'll be bouncing lines, and my wife and my mom are like, I don't know what's going on. So anyhow, that's what I appreciate about her.
Yeah.
Which then leads her into not being a huge comedy fan as well. And I think I ruined it too. If she was on the edge, I did. I think we all know what we do here as new comics. You bring your girlfriend out to your first comedy shows, and that is the worst idea. Everyone knows it's the worst idea. Even new comics. I didn't know it was the worst idea. My first show was a 2-person bringer, Dick Doherty's Comedy Vault. Great spot. Brought the wife and our buddy Bob, and if they weren't there, I wouldn't have gotten on stage, and I never would have done this. And the show went great, and I was like, I'm really good at this. And so I was talking to the comics and like, well, you got to get to the open mics. Okay, let's go. I took my wife like 2 weeks later, girlfriend at the time, to an open mic. And that was maybe the worst decision I've ever made in my life. It was just, she was at one point. So all right. So what happens at this mic, this was at I think it was at that time, the longest running open mic in Boston, and it was hosted by Mike Kaplan at one point in time. And when I was there, it was Josh Gondelman who was hosting it. So he's like, all people who have careers in comedy have hosted. And then after that, it went to Sean Carter, who runs the Blue Ridge Comedy Club. Another fantastic. So like, it was handed from one great comic to the next. It was an institution of a mic. It was great, but it was still a comedy open mic, and it was just everyone's saying the most crude, horrific things they can say, and that's not my wife's style. So that kind of was off-putting. But then they had a man who I'm pretty sure slept on the street. He would come in and do like a set sometimes. I think they would give him the microphone, but he would also just berate the comics and heckle people, but the comics would yell back at him. And so now there's this man who's got mental issues, things, and he's at the bar and he's yelling at the comics, and the comics are yelling back at him. And I look over and I'm like waiting for my turn to go on stage, and my wife, girlfriend again at the time, is just crying.
Oh no.
And I was like, do we need to go? We should go. Should we go? Do you want to just go outside and I should be up in like 2 more people? Do we leave? Do I leave with you? Do we? Comedy. Yeah. Comedy is hard. That's the line I go to. So it was some of the funniest things I've ever heard said were between that guy and the comics. But there were times where it of course, people are open micing their hate speech too, and it was not always the funniest stuff I've ever heard. So I think I ruined her chance at liking comedy by taking her to an open mic.
Yeah, those are places where you can only really get through them if you love the thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so many things that are so disheartening about a lot of the process and so just humiliating in a lot of ways.
Yeah. That
it's nice. And when I think in retrospect, I was like, well, thank God only I experienced that and I can just shove it down. But to have someone bear witness to it.
Oh, I drag them through, and it's like, oh, so this is how you want to spend your time. This is your passion. You started in New York.
I did, yeah.
And those mics are notoriously hard.
Absolutely. And I was actually this gave me a flashback of a similar but dissimilar instance of a loved one seeing me at just my day-to-day, but when it's seen by someone else, it feels it's real. So I remember when I was a dog walker for many years, and my sister wanted just to shadow me like for an entire week, like we're gonna visit, just see what your life is like.
Yeah.
And I'm
from Maryland.
From Maryland.
Yeah.
So she just walked around with me, and I remember just being like, I didn't want her to do this, but specifically, I was walking a bull mastiff, and this is like, I'm doing this so I could do comedy at night, right?
Yeah.
This is all whatever. I go through these 8 hours just so I can do 5 minutes later on. And I just remember her, just this giant pile of dog shit that came out of this animal. And it's like, I need 2 bags of this. And it's just in the middle of Tribeca, and people are walking by and they're saying things to me. Every time it's the same joke. You're going to need a trash bag. It's the same.
It's not even your dog.
It's not my dog. Yeah. And it's the same joke every time. And she just saw me do that. And it was one of those moments of just sort of like, I don't know if I'm using this term correctly, but ego death of dust. Yeah. And she just like, really, doesn't this ever get stinky? I'm like, yes, it gets stinky, Joey.
That is the job.
But
then did she get to see the triumph of comedy at night, or was comedy like a second disappointment?
I was still starting out. I mean, it was, the triumph doesn't happen until you're like, I come back to my hometown and like, look, I've got an hour of material and stuff, and all these people are here or whatever, or like a special comes out. But it's just like, it was a lot of like those moments,
Yes. You're like, look at how is this? Are you Big Brother, Ronnie?
I'm little brother.
Oh, so they're
It's a little bit better.
it's a little better, but they're also like, Ronnie needs help. We need to check in on.
She's
Ronnie.
reporting back. Like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah. Oh man, he's picking up mastiff poop
Yeah.
on the streets of New York. Yeah, he's not doing well, but
Right.
he's also living the dream. If people can see that that's the dream, I think that's a big part of it too.
What do you mean?
Like all the sacrifices and trade-offs and the terribleness of this lifestyle, which I'm not fully in, of course, as we've gone over, but any of it where you're just like, yeah, I'm in a car for 2 hours to do 20 minutes to people who may or may not like me, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
If someone can get that little light bulb like go off that you get in your own head of like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Then they can understand why you're doing what you're doing, and it doesn't feel so bad to do it.
I also think it's like they don't see that they have a different lens, right? So it's like, oh, this vision is really far down the road in a way, and anything like there are like nice things that happen, but also there's shitty things that happen. But it's also just sort of like, I don't know. It's like this is I'm gonna be doing this for a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There is no end.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this. I may have told you this story, but after I filmed the special, I had a long car ride with my dad, and these are like some of the best times in my life are like long car rides with my dad because we talk better when we're in the car. Like we can, I don't know if it's like our conversations just flow better. Maybe we're like half paying attention to driving, not as distracted by other things, whatever. But so we have this great chat, and this was right after I filmed, and he came to both tapings, and he was like, oh, I saw you did it this way on this set and this way on that set.
awesome.
Or like he's such a fan of comedy and of me, which was very sweet. And so then we honestly an hour of just talking about comedy and the process and everything, and then very complimentary and everything. And then he says, so how much longer you think you're going to be doing this?
Oh no.
And I was like, that's a dad line. That's such a dad line of like, can you make sure you're putting food on the table? Do you really need to be going out at night to these places? You know, and my answer, which is my answer, is until I'm good at it. I'm going to do comedy until I feel like I'm perfect, which will be never, which
Right.
is so, yeah, there's always a little better to get, which is why it's the greatest pursuit in the world. Right?
Agreed, man.
Yeah.
Hey, here's to that. Well,
Cheers.
dude, I think you're already good, and I also think you're already fucking perfect, my friend. But
Thanks, Ronnie.
no, but I
my
think
retirement.
I'm a fan. You're fucking great, dude, and I think everyone should check out your special. So this is the Skullet podcast wholeheartedly endorses Chris Nakis' special. Please check it out on YouTube. So this is the Skullet podcast, and as you know, of course, his hair wasn't always perfect. You know,
It really does look really good, Ronnie.
I showed this hair. I showed this hair. I saw Rebecca Canterbury yesterday, and she just laughed. She just laughed, and then she pointed to her husband. He's like, "Do you see the hair?" And he's like, "It's so good."
Point it.
Look at it. Look at it.
Turn and give the audience the side profile because they haven't seen the back yet. Isn't that nice?
The
But-
curl is so
It
the
is.
wave or whatever. It's like it's really good.
I've told by my girlfriend that I cannot not wear glasses because without it, it's a different vibe. You know.
It is a different vibe, but still not bad.
I kind of like it without glasses. Thing like go back to contacts and start like putting like a pack of cigarettes on my shoulder. You know. I think that's the move. Just really kind of I don't know. I feel like I slightly look like a hitman this way.
You do.
Do I?
Yeah, with that shirt and that product, Hitman product. That's the aisle that you need to be in.
What's that?
Go into the store, see where the unsavory looking characters are.
Yeah.
Just some guy sharpening a razor blade.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what kind of product do you use? And that's the product you need for that hair.
Beard balm in my hair.
Yeah, that guy's like, I'm already using beard balm. And you're like, me too. We're in.
Yeah, I play by my own rules. So like I said, this is the Skullet podcast. So we started this podcast. I started growing the hair, I guess. It was sort of like a goof, you know?
Yeah.
I saw a movie, the guy had a skullet. I'm like, that seems kind of fun. And I started doing it. But the more and more I do it, and the more I see it as an act of rebellion.
Well, the sticker, the image is like futuristic, right? Like this is, you were able to visualize it without it being here, which is again the mark of an artist. And you also have that slightly, you have a Midwest charm with an antagonistic sense of humor.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
because you're ready to just say, no, I'm going to grow this for the looks.
Yeah.
Now, no one's commented, no strangers have commented on this yet, right? It's not.
No, strangers have not. But I mean, I do move around the world, and people do. I feel like they're just like, what is going on with this guy?
They're seeing it, and you see them see it.
Yes.
That's stage one.
Uh-huh.
And then I think you're going to end up with, I'm going to set a goal for you because this is a goal for me.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how it ties in. But when you get a stranger comment on your hair, you've reached a level of Skullet.
What do you like? Okay, what do you predict?
The first words to be? Hey, man. I like that. I like that hair.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be. Yeah. Like, how'd you do that? What made you? All right. Well, enjoy your coffee. That's what I think it's going to be. That might be word for word.
Well, see, no one necessarily, strangers would not know that the process has been, I went from bald to this. Typically, a guy who's got a Skullet, people do send me photos of Skullets all the time.
Yes.
Now, but people usually, it's like the guys, they already had the long hair and they just refuse to let go. But I'm trying to look like those guys.
You're going to say in response to them, I started from bald. And for half the people, they're just going to be like, yeah. And then you'll know that it didn't register in their head, that they didn't fully realize what you've done.
Yeah.
The journey that you've been on. But then the other half of people will go, you were bald and then you did this, and you're gonna really wow some people. I think it's gonna be a big deal.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah,
I'll text you as soon as it happens.
I want to know. And so that's why it's a goal with my comedy here. I'm like, this special that I'm putting out, I want a negative comment.
Oh,
because then I'll know it's reached people.
Yes, for sure.
That aren't my family.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same thing with your hair. You'll know that it's noticeable, that it's something defining when a stranger cannot control themselves. And
Excuse me, sir, excuse me. I've never seen anyone so beautiful.
Yes. Do you know you have that?
Are you putting beard oil in your hair?
Yeah. That's perfect.
Now, do you have anything, I guess, not necessarily physical, but also possibly physical, but comic, maybe not comic, but that you felt like you had to do? Maybe your friends, family, society as a whole were like, Chris, don't do this thing, but deep down you're like, I just got to.
Yeah, that is comedy. And I think my mustache was probably the one that I do that is like, and it's hair too, so it's topical, but I never put any product in the mustache.
Oh my God.
Maybe I should have.
It's a true original right there, man.
Yeah. The mustache was, I've never like Googled how to take care of a mustache, how to walk your mustache, pick up the poop and try back up from your mustache. It's the only thing that really grows thickly on my face. And so, it's been fun. I do it probably once or twice a year for the attention alone. And because, so great example, the wife goes, that is terrible. And I was like, you just got yourself another 2 weeks of mustache. Like anytime someone says something negative about it, that makes me want to do it a little more.
Yeah.
So it is fun.
Do you think that there's a party that's like contrarian or something, or is that
very much? Yeah. It is that. It is my Midwest charm with an antagonistic sense of humor. I've always, you're just you're like this world is a farce, and everyone's a fraud, and I'm a fraud, and if I don't name it, then it will become me, and then everything will become true that is not true. And what are we then if we're all living a lie, Ronnie? And so sometimes I end up going too far into being a contrarian where now I've created a new lie. I'm not speaking truth. I'm speaking just a different lie to fight the original lie. And now where are we except in a sea of lies, drowning, reaching for the truth like it's a life preserver, Ronnie, and there is none to be found. The truth is
You can't handle the truth.
Oh, there it is. Chris, amazing guest. Where can everyone find you?
Find me on the Instagram at Chris_Nakis. Find me on the TikTok and the YouTube, all those places. It's all the same thing. Maybe if there's a hyphen in some of them, Venmo hyphens. I don't know. I think they're all underscores. There's not too many Chris Nakises running around. And watch, download, whatever. Leave a negative comment on the YouTube so I can just move on.
Is it going to be out by Tuesday?
Yeah.
And if you're on YouTube, we'll link the special in the bio.
Beautiful. Click on that link. Watch it all the way through. I think that's the only thing that matters. I don't know if the screen watches your eyeballs. I think they just need to make sure that it plays the whole way through.
Play it on your phone, play it on your laptop, play it on your TV.
Go to the library. Get it on every computer in the library.
Please. It's important to do that, and also it all helps the algorithm the more you comment and like and stuff. Also, for our podcast, rate, review, subscribe. That also helps us. Believe it or not, it fucking helps us. Please, we need more views. We need more subscribers. It all helps. Everything helps. All boats rise. Make sure you guys check out Chris's podcast. I'm sorry, his special. Make sure you check out my special. I'm sorry, my podcast. And finally, this has been the Skullet Podcast. Remember, not all growth is good, but just keep it in the back of your head.